When you hear the name MrBeast, you probably think of these insane viral videos, right? Extreme challenges, giving away just mountains of cash. But behind all that is something way more complex. A CEO, the CEO of a fast-growing and honestly a surprisingly sophisticated business empire. So let's peel back the curtain and really look at the machine behind the man.
And just to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about, look at this number. $900 million. That's the projected revenue for Beast Industries just this year. And note, that's not just from YouTube ads. This is a full-on media and consumer products corporation. It's playing in the big leagues now.
So to really get a handle on this, we're going to peel back the layers of this whole business onion. First, we'll check out the actual corporate structure. Then we're going to unpack the engine that powers the whole thing. We'll see how he took it global, look at the big wins, and yeah, the pretty spectacular failures. And then we'll get into the most complicated part of all, the whole paradox of his philanthropy.
Okay, first things first. We have to stop thinking about MrBeast as just a YouTube channel. Because behind the scenes, Beast Industries is a legit corporation, and it's facing some very real, very serious financial pressures that are forcing it to grow up and grow up fast.
Now, this is where it gets really fascinating. You've got this core tension right at the heart of the business. Take a look at that top line. The content division, the videos he's famous for, is actually losing money, like hemorrhaging it. Production costs are eating up over 90% of the revenue. So where's the real money coming from? The commerce division. Sales of stuff like Feastables chocolate bars jumped a wild 160% last year. And to manage this whole shift, they brought in a real heavy hitter, a former executive from SoftBank. That's a move that tells you their ambitions go way beyond just YouTube.
So wait a second. If the videos are losing money, how does the whole operation even work? Well, the answer is the core engine of the entire empire, and it's a concept that comes straight out of media theory.
It's this idea called the audience commodity. Sounds complicated, but it's super simple. It basically says that when you're watching commercial media, you aren't the customer. Your attention, that's the product. The media company just packages up all of our eyeballs and sells them to advertisers. It's an old idea, but MrBeast has given it this really interesting modern twist. And this quote from some researchers at the University of Kent just nails that twist. They call us viewers a knowing audience commodity. See, we're not just passively watching, we're in on the deal. We know that our views are what funds the next giant giveaway or crazy stunt. We're willingly part of the machine just by being entertained.
So you've perfected this machine that turns eyeballs into money. What's the logical next step? You go find more eyeballs. And that's exactly what he did by taking the show global. But the way he did it, well, that was a stroke of genius.
I mean, just look at this growth. His original English channel took over a decade to build to where it is, but then you look at his Spanish channel. It exploded to over 25 million subscribers in just 3 years. The Portuguese channel did 15 million subs in even less time. He wasn't just translating, he was basically cloning his audience machine in these huge new markets.
But here's the crucial part: how he did it. First, he tried using AI to dub the videos, and it was a total disaster. People hated the robotic voice, and watch time just plummeted. So he spent the money and invested in professional human voice actors, people who could actually match his unique energy. And the result? The audience retention rates were nearly identical to the original videos. The YouTube algorithm loves that. It shot his content to the top in international markets and let him charge top dollar for ads. It was a massive, massive return on that investment.
But trying to take that perfectly tuned digital success into the messy, complicated real world of physical products, yeah, that's been a whole different story. This is where we see that he doesn't have the Midas touch with everything, and the empire is actually far from invincible.
And the contrast here is just so sharp. On one side, you've got these huge successes. Feastables, the chocolate brand, is now the company's biggest moneymaker, period. And buying Step, a fintech app with over 7 million users, is a pretty smart move into financial services for Gen Z. But then you have these spectacular failures. MrBeast Burger was a total logistical nightmare that ended up in court. And his huge reality show for Amazon, Beast Games, lost, and this is in his own words, tens of millions of dollars. It just goes to show you, perfecting the digital formula is one thing, but translating that into the real world is incredibly risky.
And if you want to know just how bad the burger venture really got, you don't have to look any further than MrBeast's own words. According to court documents, he personally described the food being sold with his name on it as disgusting and unacceptable. I mean, that is brutal coming from the face of the brand.
So why did it fail so badly? Well, the problem was the ghost kitchen model itself.
See, by partnering with over 1,000 independent restaurant kitchens, they could get big really fast. But it made quality control an absolute nightmare. You've got different chefs, different ingredients, different standards in every single place. There was just no way to make sure the burger tasted the same everywhere. They scaled way too fast without having a system to control the quality, and it just wrecked the brand's reputation.
Which brings us to our final and maybe the most interesting layer of the whole MrBeast business. How does this ruthless, data-driven machine connect to all of his famous large-scale charity work? This is what we're calling the philanthropy paradox.
It all works in this perfect self-perpetuating cycle. Okay, so it starts with a spectacle, some crazy expensive video. That spectacle monetizes the audience, that audience commodity we talked about. The profits then get funneled into his charity, Beast Philanthropy. But then, and here's the key, the act of giving the money away gets filmed and becomes the next piece of spectacle content. That charity video then drives more views, which restarts the entire cycle all over again. It's a feedback loop where entertainment pays for charity, and charity becomes the next big piece of entertainment.
And he is so direct about this whole model. There's a banner on his charity channel that literally says, Beast Philanthropy is literally funded by your eyeballs. Not even joking. This turns the simple act of watching a video into like a form of micro-philanthropy. It makes every single viewer a direct participant in what he's.
You've seen the videos, right? The explosions, the mountains of cash, the completely over-the-top challenges. It all looks like pure, unfiltered chaos. But what if I told you that underneath all that spectacle is one of the most disciplined, data-obsessed, and honestly, ruthless business playbooks on the entire planet? So how did Jimmy Donaldson turn what looks like a party into a finely tuned empire-building machine? Let's dive in and break it down.
All right, first things first, let's just wrap our heads around the scale we're talking about here. His company, Beast Industries, which covers everything from his videos to his chocolate bars, has an estimated valuation of a jaw-dropping $5.2 billion. That's not just YouTube money, that puts him in the same league as major global corporations. But here's where the whole story takes a wild turn. The guy behind this multi-billion-dollar empire says he's broke. He's on record saying he's basically in negative cash. People call him a billionaire, but he says there's not much in his bank account. So, what on earth is going on?
And that right there is the big mystery we're going to solve today. How is this even possible? How can you be building one of the most valuable brands in the world when the very thing you're famous for, making these insane videos, is actually a giant money pit? This is a fascinating business puzzle, and we're about to put the pieces together.
So the first piece of this puzzle is a complete mindset shift. You have to understand that his YouTube channel is not what you think it is. It's a classic business strategy called a loss leader, but he's taken it to an absolutely insane extreme. And you don't have to take my word for it. The numbers are just wild. Take a look. In 2024, his media division brought in about $224 million. Sounds great, right? Well, it cost $344 million to run. Do the math. That's a $120 million loss. The videos don't make money. They burn it by the truckload.
And that leads us to the most crucial point of this whole thing. The main channel is not the business. It's the marketing department. It's the most expensive, most effective marketing engine in the world. All those millions spent on videos, that's just the cost of getting you and me to buy his actual products, like Feastables chocolate, or to use his software.
This diagram shows the genius of it all. It's a perfect feedback loop. He makes a crazy video, which gets billions of views. Those views make some ad revenue and, more importantly, drive a ton of sales for his other companies. And then, this is the key, he takes every single dollar and plows it back into making an even bigger, crazier, more spectacular video. It's a self-fueling rocket ship.
Okay, so if your videos are basically multi-million-dollar Super Bowl ads, you better be damn sure they work. That's where the next part of the playbook comes in. This is how they've turned virality from a guessing game into a cold, hard science.
It all started with pure, uncut obsession. Seriously, while other people were in college, Jimmy Donaldson spent over 20,000 hours just studying YouTube. He was breaking down what makes a video go viral, treating it less like art and more like physics.
And all that research came down to two simple metrics that rule everything they do. First is CTR, or click-through rate. This is all about the thumbnail and the title. It decides the idea of the video itself. Then there's AVD, or average view duration. This is about how long people stick around, and that dictates the entire structure of the video, second by second. And if you want to know why they are so obsessed with that structure, get a load of this number. On a typical MrBeast video, 21 million people click away within the first 60 seconds. That is mind-blowing. It means the intro isn't just important, it's a fight for survival. So, to fight that massive drop-off, they built this thing they call the retention architecture model. It's a formula, plain and simple. Minute 1 is the hook. The next 2 minutes show you crazy progression to get you invested. Then, at the 3-minute mark, bam, a huge spectacle. It just keeps going like this, with another re-engagement at minute 6, all the way to a super abrupt ending, which is specifically designed to keep that watch time metric as high as possible. It's science.
But look, you can have the best playbook in the world, right? If you don't have the right team to execute it, it's completely useless. And that brings us to the cultural core of the company, which is just as intense as their content strategy.
This quote, this is from their internal production handbook, and it tells you everything you need to know. There is zero tolerance for average. It's not about being mean, it's about a deep-seated belief that mediocrity is like a poison that can kill a high-performance team.
See, in their world, there are only two kinds of people. You're either an A player, obsessive, world-class, someone who learns from mistakes, or you're a C player, someone who's just average, collecting a paycheck. There is absolutely no middle ground. If you're not constantly pushing to be the best, you're out.
And it's not even about working hard or putting in long hours. The culture is brutally focused on results. The idea is that one A player can solve a problem in 30 minutes that a whole team of average people couldn't solve in a week. It's about what you deliver, period.
So, we've got the business model, the content science, and the killer culture. But where is all this actually heading? Let's zoom out and look at the end game because, trust me, it's so much bigger than just YouTube. A few years ago, they had this massive realization. They looked at the data and saw that a whopping 70% of all engagement on YouTube happens outside of English-speaking countries. For almost every other top creator, that was a massive, untapped gold mine. So while everyone else was playing around with cheap, robotic-sounding AI dubbing, MrBeast went in the complete opposite direction. He spent a fortune hiring professional human voice actors in dozens of different languages. They understood that to really connect with an audience in, say, Japan or Brazil, you had to match the energy and personality, not just translate the words. It was expensive, but it's why he completely dominates the global stage. And it all feeds into this one huge vision for the future. We're talking about a true media conglomerate with different arms in media, consumer products, and software. The YouTube channels are just the global reach machine that powers it all. And the potential endgame? An IPO, taking the entire company public. So, as you can see, when you pull back the curtain, this isn't luck. It isn't random chaos. It's a system. It's a playbook built on an almost superhuman level of obsession, a deep-seated belief in data, and an absolutely non-negotiable demand for world-class execution. And that leaves us with one final thought, a question pulled directly from the MrBeast mindset. One of their internal mottos is, no does not mean no. It means that with enough persistence and creativity, any obstacle can be overcome. So the question to ask yourself is this: what no have you just accepted in your own life or your own work that maybe with just a little more obsession